A vending machine glows in an empty office hallway at 2 in the morning. A single coin drops inside it, and nobody is there to see it. The owner is asleep in a house across town, and the machine just made him a little richer. No boss called him. No customer thanked him. A cold metal box did the work while he dreamed. That is the whole idea, and almost nobody takes it seriously. We chase glamorous businesses and flashy stocks, and we walk straight past the dull little machines that quietly print money. So here is the thesis, plain and simple. The most boring assets on earth are the ones that can outpay a full-time job. Think about how you earn money right now. You wake up, you trade your hours, and the money stops the second you stop. Miss a week, and the paycheck shrinks. Get sick, and it can vanish. You are the machine, and the machine has to keep running. Now here is the uncomfortable part. Only about 20% of American households earn any passive income at all. That is dividends, interest, or rent, according to census data. The other 80% own nothing that pays them while they sleep. And of the lucky ones who do earn passive income, the median is just $4,200 a year. So most people never build a single asset that survives them missing a day. Think about that for a second. The median full-time worker earns around $59,000 a year by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and they hand over every waking hour to get it. I am going to walk you through 20 dull assets, then each one can match or beat that salary. We start cheap and simple, the kind of thing you could start this year. Then we climb into land and property. Then we reach the quiet stuff the wealthy protect and never talk about. Stay to the end, the last one is not a business at all. It is the machine that turns the other 19 into a single, unstoppable engine. Let us start where the barrier is lowest. Number 1 is the humble vending machine. One box, one location, one coin at a time. A single well-placed machine grosses around $300 a month, and a route of 25 machines can net a few thousand a month once it hums. The whole vending operator business in America is worth about $7.8 billion per IBIS World. The largest operator is Canteen, part of Compass Group, running more than 200,000 machines. Picture that, 200,000 little boxes, each one taking coins while nobody watches. It is not exciting, it never trends. And that keeps the crowd away, which means far less competition than you would expect. But a good route quietly pays like a job, and it never asks for a day off. You restock it on your own schedule, and the coins keep dropping in between. Number 2 is the ATM. Not the bank kind, the independent kind in the corner of a bar or a gas station. You own the machine, you fill it with cash, and you charge a small fee every time someone withdraws. That fee averages under $3, and a busy machine handles a couple hundred withdrawals a month. The US ATM services market is worth around $7.5 billion. And here's the part that surprises people. Independent operators, not banks, own more than half of all the machines in the country. The biggest, Cardtronics, has deployed over 100,000 of them. You walk past their money boxes every single day. Each withdrawal is tiny, but tiny fees add up fast when the machine runs all night. Nobody notices the box in the corner. That is exactly why it works. Number 3 is the laundromat, the patron saint of boring money. Rows of machines eating quarters while people scroll their phones. A solid laundromat grosses somewhere between $100,000 and $300,000 a year, and the net margins run around a quarter of that. The whole coin laundry industry in America is about $6.8 billion per IBIS World. And here's the number that makes investors lean in. Industry sources say roughly 95% of laundromats survive their first 5 years. Most small businesses do not come close to that. WaveMax is the largest laundromat franchise in the country. Soap, water, quarters, repeat. It is gloriously dull, and that is exactly the point. Number 4 is even simpler. It is an ice vending machine. A metal box that freezes water and sells it back to you in a bag. The profit margins are almost comical because ice costs a few cents to make and sells for $2 or $3. A well-placed ice machine can gross a couple $1,000s a month, and the good spots do far better. Twice the Ice, made by Ice House America, runs more than 3,000 of these locations worldwide. Think about that. People pay real money for frozen water again and again in the same spot forever. Nobody dreams of owning an ice box. That is the whole edge. Number 5 steps up in size. It is the car wash, and specifically the express tunnel kind. A single busy tunnel in a strong market can generate $700,000 to over $1 million a year, and the margins on that are unusually fat. The secret is the membership. Mr. Car Wash, a public company, runs over 500 locations and had more than 2.1 million unlimited wash members at the end of 2024. Those members stay, on average, well over a year. So the money is not one wash at a time. It is thousands of people quietly paying every month whether they show up or not. That is the model hiding inside the soap suds. Number 6 is where things get serious: self-storage. A long row of metal doors on a patch of cheap land. It sounds like the least glamorous thing you could ever own. And yet the US self-storage industry is worth about $44 billion a year per the Self-Storage Almanac. There are more than 50,000 facilities in the country. The reason owners love it is margin. A well-run facility can keep around 70% of its revenue as operating income, which is almost unheard of in real estate. The giant here is public storage, with over 3,000 facilities. And customers do not leave quickly. The average tenant stays around 18 months, often much longer. People rent a box, forget about it, and pay for years. That is not a bug. That is the business. Number 7 closes out the small stuff: the billboard. A blank rectangle on a steel pole beside a highway. It does nothing but stand there, and it earns while it stands. A single static billboard can bring in a few thousand to tens of thousands of dollars a year, depending on the traffic below it. Turn it digital, and it can earn several times more. Lamar Advertising, one of the biggest operators, pulled in over $2.2 billion in revenue in 2024, across roughly 360,000 displays. You have looked at their product 10,000 times. You just never thought of it as an asset. Now we leave the small boxes behind, and we step onto land. Number 8 is the parking lot. Flat asphalt with painted lines. It feels like the definition of doing nothing. But a busy urban garage with a few hundred spaces, charging by the day, can pull well over $1 million a year in revenue. The US parking industry runs into the billions across thousands of lots. There is no inventory to spoil, no product to ship. You are renting empty space to metal boxes for a few hours at a time. Cars come, cars go, and the ground underneath keeps earning. The same square of asphalt can be sold again every single day. It is the closest thing to charging rent on nothing. Number 9 is a cousin of self-storage that most people never consider: RV and boat storage. A gravel lot where people park the toys they only use a few weekends a year. An uncovered spot might rent for $60 to $120 a month, and an indoor climate-controlled bay can top $450. The niche is small but growing fast, valued around $1.8 billion in climbing. Stabilized lots often run above 90% full, and the best ones keep a wait list. People will happily pay to park a boat they barely use. You just hold the dirt it sits on. Number 10 is the small apartment building. Not a tower, just 5 to 20 units. The kind of building most big investors ignore, because it is too small for them and too big for beginners. That gap is the opportunity. A well-run unit can throw off a couple $100 a month in net cash flow after everything, and 20 of those add up to a real income. Leases now run close to 13 months on average, so the money is steady. It is not passive in the pure sense. But own the right building in the right place, and it pays you for decades while it slowly climbs in value. Number 11 is the one that made Frank Rolfe wealthy: the mobile home park. You own the land and the roads, and the residents own their homes and pay you lot rent. It has a reputation nobody wants and returns nobody talks about. A 50-lot park can generate strong 5-figure cash flow, and communities run around 95% occupied nationwide. Here is the quiet genius of it. The average resident stays about 21 years because moving a home can cost $8,000. So they rarely leave. Sam Zell built the largest operator, Equity Lifestyle, with over 150,000 lots. Ugly on the outside, beautiful on the spreadsheet. Number 12 is the warehouse. The flex box, the plain metal building near the highway. For years, this was the most boring corner of real estate. Then the whole world started shipping everything to its front door. Prologis, the largest industrial landlord on Earth, runs a portfolio of over 1.3 billion square feet. At the end of 2024, its occupancy sat above 95%. When leases roll over, rents have been jumping by double digits. A box that holds other people's stuff turned out to be one of the steadiest earners in the game. Dull, gray, and quietly essential. Number 13 is the last one on the ground you can actually see, the cell tower. A steel lattice on a hill with antennas bolted to the top. A single tower can lease space to carriers for around $2,000 a month per tenant, and towers often carry several tenants at once. The whole cell site leasing industry in America is worth over $60 billion, and 3 companies control nearly 70% of it. Crown Castle alone owns almost 40,000 US towers, and their leases run astonishingly long. Their weighted average initial term stretches close to 28 years. You put steel in the ground once, and it pays for a generation. Now we reach the quiet part, the assets the wealthy hold and rarely mention. Number 14 is triple net retail. You buy a building, a pharmacy, or a coffee shop, and the tenant pays the rent plus the taxes, the insurance, and the maintenance. You own the roof and collect a check. The model is so clean that Realty Income, the biggest player, calls itself the monthly dividend company. It owns more than 15,000 properties and sat at 98.7% occupancy in 2024. It has raised its dividend well over 100 times since going public. Almost no management, almost no surprises, just a long lease and a reliable check landing every month. Number 15 is farmland, the oldest boring asset there is. Dirt that grows food, and you rent it to a farmer. U.S. cropland cash rent hit a record $160 an acre in 2024, per USDA data. And the land itself averaged around $4,350 an acre. Over the long run, farmland has returned somewhere near 10% a year, income plus appreciation, with remarkably little volatility. Here is the tell. Bill Gates is the largest private farmland owner in America, with around 250,000 acres. The richest man in tech quietly bet on the dullest asset alive. That should tell you something. Number 16 goes one step slower and one step older. Timberland. You own forest and the trees grow whether you show up or not. Your inventory literally gets bigger every year on its own. Weyerhaeuser, the largest timber company, owns over 10 million acres of U.S. timberland. If prices are low, you simply do not cut. You let it keep growing and sell when the market turns. It is the rare asset that stores its own value on the stump. Slow, patient, and almost impossible to rush. The wealthy have loved it for exactly that reason. Number 17 is a modern twist on owning land, the solar or wind lease. You own a field, and an energy company pays you to put panels or turbines on it. The farmer keeps the land, and the checks arrive for decades. Solar leases commonly pay $1,000 to $2,000 an acre a year, sometimes far more where demand is hot. And the leases run 20 to 40 years. So you are not selling anything. You are renting sunlight and wind that would have blown across your field for free anyway. The same dirt earns twice. Number 18 is the one almost nobody outside real estate has heard of, the ground lease. You own the land under a building, and someone else owns the building on top. They pay you rent for the ground, often for 99 years. Safehold, the specialist here, estimates the market for this could be worth trillions of dollars. Think about what you own. Not the building that ages and needs repairs, but the dirt beneath it that never wears out. And when the lease finally ends, the building on top can revert to you. It is the landlord's landlord. Number 19 is where the truly wealthy hide mineral and royalty rights. You do not drill, you do not operate, you do not lift a finger. You simply own what is under the ground, and you collect a slice of whatever comes out. Texas Pacific Land, one of the most famous holders, owns royalty interests across hundreds of thousands of acres. The whole U.S. mineral rights market is estimated near $500 billion. Royalty trusts pass almost all of that income straight through to owners with no drilling cost. You own the deep, dark part of the map, and it pays you for doing nothing at all. Number 20 is the asset that guards all the others, water rights. In the dry American West, the right to use water can be worth more than the land it sits on. Agricultural water might trade for $20 an acre-foot, while a city will pay hundreds or thousands for the same thing. In one Colorado auction, water rights sold for around $52,000 an acre-foot, up hundreds of percent in a decade. Funds now buy farmland just to control the water underneath it. As the West dries out, the value only climbs. It is the one asset they are quite literally not making any more of. Now let us be honest, because none of this is free money. Every one of these assets can lose. A vending machine in a dead location earns nothing but dust. A laundromat with a busted boiler bleeds cash. Farmland can sit through a drought, and a mobile home park can inherit problems the last owner buried. Real estate is not liquid, so when you need cash fast, you can be stuck. And leverage, the debt people use to buy these, cuts both ways. Ask anyone who bought storage or apartments at the top of the market and watched rates climb. These assets are dull. But dull is not the same as safe. The edge is not that they cannot fail. The edge is that a good one, run with patience, tends to survive the things that kill flashier bets. You still have to choose well, and you still have to do the work up front. Boring rewards the diligent, not the lazy. There is one last thing I saved for the end, and it is the wildest part, because the 20th real asset was water, but the 20th idea is not an asset at all. It is the machine underneath all of them. Here is what almost nobody tells you. The people who own these things did not get rich from any single one. They got rich from the pattern. You buy one dull asset that spits out small repeated payments, then instead of spending that cash, you feed it into the next dull asset. The vending route buys the laundromat. The laundromat helps buy the storage units. The storage helps buy the land, and each asset pays for the next. And the whole thing compounds quietly in the background. It is not one thing, it is never one thing. It is a stack. The vending machine was never the point, the stack was always the point. The wealthy are not smarter about picking winners. They are just patient about pouring water from one bucket into the next. Year after year, until the buckets fill themselves. Here is the line to keep. Rich people do not chase income, they build machines that make it, then let those machines buy more machines. Every asset on this list is just one gear. The magic is bolting the gears together and refusing to stop turning the crank. That is the engine. That is the whole secret. And the best part is that it runs on the most boring fuel there is. Patience. Two people started with the same $10,000. Marcus wanted the exciting win, so he chased the hot thing every year, hopping from one thrill to the next, always sure the next one was it. Priya bought a boring little vending route and reinvested every coin. Marcus laughed at her machines. 10 years later, Priya owned the route, a laundromat, and a small stretch of storage units that paid her more than her old salary. Marcus was still waiting for the exciting win. The difference was never luck, and it was never brains. She just kept feeding the coins back into the boxes. And somewhere, in an empty hallway, one of her vending machines is still glowing, still taking a coin while she sleeps. If someone you know is still waiting for the exciting win, send them this. Like it, subscribe, and tell me which of these 20 surprised you the most.